I will forever die on the hill that Disney Channel actors are actually great performers. We often have this assumption that just because they're on Disney Channel and they acted in cheesy shows and movies that they're not that, like, they're just not serious actors, and they're just not that serious, and that their career as an actor is kind of just gonna be super small, irrelevant. They're not gonna be A-listers. But one thing is true though. Yes, the shows that they acted in are a little cheesy. The movies are sometimes a little cheesy, especially in the mid-2010s if you were watching Disney Channel then. But that's why we loved them. It's good cheesy, like it's great cheesy. But that doesn't mean that all actors who came from Disney Channel are shit actors. They're unserious. Their career is just gonna be in the shitter. Same for Nickelodeon stars, but we're not talking about Nickelodeon. We're talking about Disney Channel stars right now. Well, both stars who come from Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, they often are not shit actors. They're just simply They're just simply working what they're being given. It's only when they break away from Disney, when we finally get to see their abilities, their talent, and we have many cases of this. Zendaya in Euphoria. Love it. Love Euphoria. Zendaya's performance in Euphoria gave her 2 Emmys, and we saw Zendaya act she just gave us such a great performance, especially in season 2 and episode 5. We were all shocked. I was shocked too, and I'm just amazed at every single thing that Zendaya does. Everything she touches turns into gold. I'm a Zendaya stan. Okay? I love Zendaya. Love her. Great actress. Great actress. And also, Jenna Ortega in Wednesday. I never watched any of Addams Family content. I've never seen the movies. I've heard of the Addams Family, but it's weird, but I went into Wednesday completely new. And without having anything being, like, I just didn't really know that much of the Addams Family universe or Tim Burton's, like, work in the Addams Family before. No, well, did he work on... never mind. Well, actually, yeah, I did hear of Tim Burton, and yeah, he is a good director. I don't think I've seen much of his work, but anyway, I went into Wednesday almost completely fresh, like blind to the Addams Family universe, and Jenna Ortega, knowing that she was in it, gave me enough hope because she also killed that performance. Every single scene that Jenna Ortega was in, love it. I just love it, especially the first episode. Jenna Ortega, like, her performance as Wednesday, the look, it's just, she plays serious and intense. She's such a horror movie icon, and Wednesday is the perfect role. And the fact that she has producer credits in season 2, and that she actually gives a damn about Wednesday, and she just knows what she's doing, is just, it's so great. But that's a future episode. I might talk about Wednesday in the future. And now we get to see the talent of Peyton List and School Spirits. I'm usually not the type of person who hops on the bandwagon on the hype for new shows, like, as soon as it comes out. School Spirits came out in 2023, and I did hear of the show. It was on my Netflix watch, like, Netflix recommended, like, list that they do when it did come out. And I'm usually just not really the person who jumps on the hype for new shows. Like, if it has, like, too much promotion for me, I usually just don't, like, jump on the hype for new shows. Mostly because I'm usually just the type of person who just likes to rewatch their favorite TV shows and movies over and over and over again. I'm usually just not the person who jumps on the hype of new shows. So, recently, I actually gave School Spirits a try. And I did watch a little bit of the first episode a year prior to that, but I just didn't really get that much far into that episode for whatever reason. Probably busy, but like this time I actually just sat down and watched it, and now I'm officially hooked on the story. And I'm so pissed that season 2 has just finished. I haven't watched season 2 at all. I just watched season 1. I'm trying to like watch season 2. But I only watched season 1. So this episode I'm only going to be talking about season 1 to an extent. But yeah. If you don't know what School Spirits is about a teenager named Madison Years who is considered missing, but she actually died. But the problem is she doesn't remember what happened to her. And she's able to connect with her best friend Simon. And together she and her ghost friends try to figure out what happened to her while also discovering new things in the afterlife as well. It's a pretty interesting story because it's so like the way like I was watching the trailer before I got ready to record this, the way that it's presented that like she's murdered, but in actuality, spoiler alert, spoilers ahead, she's not actually like dead in the first place. And she's also well, the spoiler is that Maddie Nears is not actually dead, but she swapped places with a ghost, Janet, who the other ghosts considered she crossed over, but really she just switched places, and now she's in Maddie's body, trying to run away. That's all. That's all I know from watching season 1. But I'm gonna get to the overall mystery in a little bit. But that was a good twist. But I'm a little disappointed. Though. It was a good writing choice, but I'm just a little disappointed now. For some reasons, I'm a little disappointed because. But Painless as Maddie. I remember seeing Painless in Jessie, and if you were watching Disney Channel in the mid 2010s. You know how, I guess Disney Channel in the 2000s, people loved the Disney Channel in the 2000s, and that it did have good shows like Kim Possible, That's So Raven. The Disney Channel shows that I remember the most, because I was born in 2006, so I missed a good heyday of Disney Channel. But the Disney Channel shows I watched in the mid 2010s were Jessie, Dog with a Blog, Austin and Ally. I didn't really watch Liv and Maddie. But I remember watching Painless and Jessie. And the minute when she first talked in School Spirits, her voice gave me such a jump scare because it sounded so deep for a second, because I haven't watched Painless in a minute. I haven't seen her since she was on Jessie, and yes, she is also on Cobra Kai, but I haven't really watched Cobra Kai, even though it's on my Netflix watch list. I haven't really watched that much of it, and there are actually like 2 Disney Channel stars in it, her and Jacob Bertrand. I have watched these 2 together. It's also cute that they're a couple in real life because I watched them in The Swap. That's also my favorite Disney Channel original movie. That's one of my favorites. But watching them in The Swap, play kind of like unlikely friends who swap places, and now they're a couple. It's just like a full circle moment, and it's just so cute. Anyway. That was kind of like a jump scare because I haven't seen her in a minute. Just haven't seen her in a minute. Like, I was like, wait a minute, when did her voice get so deep for a second? Like, when did it get so deep? But other than that, Painless actually, she killed that performance. And she like, again, like, she was able to, like, I just liked how she presented Maddie as just simply a kind character. She's a very ambitious character. She's also very smart, and she portrays Maddie perfectly as like a person who is adjusting to being dead, or what she thinks, like, because Maddie's still, like, for the first season, like, she's convinced that she's dead. We're also convinced that she's actually dead, and, like, she presents, like, the 5 stages of, like, grief, like, how Maddie is adjusting to the afterlife, because she wasn't ready to die. And I like how, like, in general, Maddie is a very selfless character. The whole time, when she's, like, talking about how she's not ready to die, she doesn't really talk about what she had personally going on. The only thing that she can think about is just simply, I have people who need me, not, oh, I have so much to do. No, people need me, and I have to take care of them. Mostly her mom, because Maddie grew up with a mom who's struggling with addiction to alcohol. Her mom is also having some mental health issues, and that produced, like, a very scary, unstable home life, and it got really intense over the years. And Maddie, had to take on the role of taking care of her mom, and obviously that left with some personal, like, resentment, and honestly, it kind of, like, in general, her relationship with her mother is not that great. It's not great. And even though I don't really have that much to say about her and her mother's relationship, but, like, the show did, like portray how a relationship with someone who is an addict, an alcoholic, or an addict, it shows the constant, like back and forth, the frustration, like her pain of, like, always having to, like, be the adult when she is still, like, a child, and she wanted to, like, she still has so much life to live and, like, go to college. And I think she wanted to be a writer, because she's also, like, very good at writing. I don't know, she's good at it. And I don't know, like, I just feel her pain with always having to take care of, like, everything and everyone. That is Maddie, but it's just so, like, Painless was really so good in this role. Like, it's just so, it's like, we really do underestimate Disney stars. Just let them break away from Disney Channel. They'll show us that they can act. I guarantee you guys, like, they are actually good actors. Give them a chance, you guys. Like, just give them a chance. Now, for the rest of the characters, the cast of characters were also pretty interesting. They also had some space to take up. There were, like, I feel like the characters who piqued my interest the most were the ghosts, because we quickly, like, they had so much, they just had good backstories that made us quickly empathize with them, and wishing they had a second chance, especially Dawn. Dawn is such a sweetheart, and we're all, like, everyone was just so, like, well, not mean to Dawn, but they just weren't really the most nice to her, and just kind of, like, written her off a little bit. But, it's, like, it's typical, Sometimes we kind of just, like, write someone off because, like, they might be a little bit, quote unquote, dead sea, or not really, it's just, justice for Dawn, justice for Dawn, okay? Now, let me, like, list off some characters that, like, these are, I'm not gonna, like, talk about all the characters, but these are just, like, the main characters who, like, that are in relation to Maddie. Number 1, Simon, Maddie's best friend. And this guy went through the ringer in this season. I feel so bad for Simon, because he is just so torn up with his friend's presumed murder, and he just didn't really know what he was going to do, survive, like, get through his life without the one person he cares about the most. And honestly, as a person who is going through grief themselves, I do feel his pain, because how are we supposed to get through their own, like, how it's just like how we're supposed to like get through our own life when the one person who we love the most is not there with us. You know, it feels pointless when you go through like a loss so close to you. Like living life feels pointless sometimes. It does feel pointless. And we have to find meaning with ourselves now to keep going, because most of the time it does feel pointless. Like we're wasting time. Like it's just a waste of time. So I feel his pain. And also, like, another note, he is also in love with Maddie. Not surprising. Not surprising. I'm not saying that his reaction and his actions always have to like, oh, it's only because like he wants to be with her romantically. That's not really it. It's only like a small fraction of it, but also because he cherishes their friendship the most, that he never really made a move on her. Also, Maddie had a boyfriend at the time, and still Simon really does prioritize. Words are hard. He really does prioritize their friendship the most, even though he does love her so much in that way, and Maddie obviously doesn't really feel the same way. I mean, of course she loves Simon, but she doesn't love him like that. But I really did feel for Simon this whole season, because even in the end, like, it just feels like he like he just needs a minute to just like breathe before he can come back and like help Maddie again, because again, he's just going through a lot. He's just going through a lot. Next up, Nicole, Maddie's other friend. She's an artist. She does great art, which we love. We love an artist. And she didn't have that much screen time. Well, no, obviously she did have screen time. What am I saying? She did have screen time. But I guess she didn't really make that much of an impact on me to have like a very strong opinion about her, because I don't really personally know that much about her. But all I can say is that she's also a good friend. I also think that maybe she was in love with Maddie because she had like so many pictures of her, or she wanted to be Maddie, or was a little jealous of Maddie. I don't really know. That's just my guess. Anyway, next up, Xavier, Maddie's former boyfriend. Now, obviously, he's giving me some mixed feelings. On one hand, the bastard cheated on her with Claire, Maddie's old friend. We'll get to her after. On first hand, he cheated on her, but he also feels guilty, and he wants to also help find Maddie, like find out what happened to Maddie. On one hand, that's nice, but also, fuck you, man. You cheated on her. Like, what the hell? Oh my god. And I love how like no one really was like letting that go a little bit, because it's like, damn. Like, you are the last person who we should be talking to right now, because how could you do that? Like, And Maddie really did like Xavier. Like, he really did just like play that girl so. It just ashy. It's just so ashy. Like Xavier. But I guess he grew on me a little bit. Because his dad is kind of an ass. But also, it doesn't really excuse cheating. It's an explanation, not an excuse. Feel for him and his father's relationship. Still not over the cheating thing. I'm still not over it. But like, it's nice that he wants to find out what happened to her too. Next up, Claire, Maddie's childhood friend. Claire is the popular girl at Split River. I think that's the name of the high school. She is the popular girl, the it girl, the rich. Like, she's the rich girl too. Her family is also sort of powerful. I think they kind of like, you know, the types of family who donate so much money to the school so they can just do whatever they want. You know that bitch. But yeah, you know those kids. Yeah. Yeah, she's that kid. But anyway, she and Maddie were childhood friends, and one day, like, they stopped talking to each other. This is because one night Maddie's mother was having, I think, a bipolar, like, manic episode, kind of like she was in one of her moods. I can say that's what Maddie said. She was in one of her moods, but Claire, in such bad timing, she came to Maddie's house because her parents were fighting, and she just couldn't be in that environment right now. And she went to her friend Maddie's house, and Maddie told her, like, because her mom was in a bad place, she told Claire she just couldn't come in right now. Good decision, because, like, Claire was running right from one bad environment, and she was just gonna be walking into a shitstorm. Like they both it just wasn't really like a good place for any of them right now. So Claire, obviously being hurt by this, she kind of like went away for a minute. She came back to school, and she just became a whole different person. They just haven't talked since. And in a sense, their friendship was kind of over. And knowing that Maddie and Claire had this history of like just being your friends in middle school, it has, like, on one hand, you're not really going to be friends with people forever, and it's kind of like, yeah, I would say that it's nice that Claire cares enough to, like, also find out what happened. I don't know, maybe they'll like rekindle some friendship, because yeah, maybe they would. Well, actually, maybe not, because Claire was kind of like, oh God, yeah, Claire was seeing Xavier while Xavier was still with Maddie. Yeah, you know what? Maybe if Maddie could, like, look past that, then maybe they can rekindle their friendship. But, like, for me, like, no, never mind. Like, never mind. We're not gonna be friends. Like, we're still cool, but, like, we might be cool because, like, we might be cool. Like, if I was in Maddie's position, like, I would be like, okay, we're cool to an extent that you're trying to help me. We're just not gonna be friends. Like, dude, what? Next, Wally. Wally. He's also played by a former Disney Channel star, by the way. I forget his name. Milo. I can't really say his last name, but he was in Zombies. I personally stopped, like, watching Disney Channel in 2018. I personally stopped watching Disney Channel during that time. So I never really saw Zombies. I thought it was kind of like a shit movie, but it seemed good enough for some people. But anyway, it's ironic. It's pretty good that two Disney Channel stars are in like a show like School Spirits. Pretty good, right? Like, again, it's proving my point, that Disney Channel stars are actually, like, good actors. Anyway, see, Wally is a former football player, and he died in the 80s during a football game. Someone tackled him during a play, snapped his neck. Now he's in the afterlife. And Wally is a typical, like, he kind of, like, on the surface, he presents as a typical high school jock, and kind of like a himbo to an extent. But he's also a very sweet guy. Golden Retriever. And he's also Maddie's love interest. I'm going to be talking about them, like, in a quick minute. Like, I have, like, a little bit of a section of this episode dedicated to them, but, like, yeah. He stole my heart. Wally. I love Wally. Wally is such a nice guy. Like, you would think that he would be such a douche. Just by the looks of him, like, you would think he would be a douche, but he's so sweet and nice to Maddie and everyone else. It's like a little family going on. We just have, like, a little family going on. Like, it'll be so cool. Now, oh my god, like now I want to be in this show. Now that I think about it, because I would quickly get used to it if I was in Maddie's situation. I wouldn't really want to go now, because we got so many like cool people. We got a little group going on. We just got like a whole little group going on. It's just fun. Like we're having a good time. Like we're figuring shit out about what happened to us, but we're having a good time. Let's just hang out a little bit more. Let's just like we'll hang out a little bit more. You know. But anyway, yeah, he's Maddie's love interest. He's such a sweetheart, and it's just hopefully we know. Well, actually, I have this little note because, well, okay, the reason why he died in the first place is because, well, he was going to be like during that game. He was taking a break. The coach told him to like go to the bench, rest his knee, but his mom came up to him and told him to like get back in the game because his mom is a very hardcore football. Words are hard again. His mom is a very hardcore football fan. She is the reason why he is playing football in the first place, and she's also the reason, low-key the reason, why he's dead in the first place. So, on one hand, his mom is, like, it's just, like, the typical, like, overbearing mom to, like, well, she's not typically, like, the overbearing mom, like, she babies him, but, like, it's the overbearing parent who, like, expects so much from their child. And Wally, being like the sweet boy that he is, will never like tell his mom that like he doesn't really like football. Like he's just doing it to make her happy. Oh my god! Like I'm like that's so sad. Like, ugh. Like on one hand, it's like his mom is not like a bad person, but like it's like the obtuseness to like see that. Low key, like she kind of was like the reason why he died in the first place. Like, and she still like shows up to football games, and his dad stopped going 15 years ago because he realized that this game kind of killed our son. I personally wouldn't really like be fucking with that whole sport in the first place. But his mom still goes to this game, kind of like traumatizing herself a little bit because she still doesn't see the darkness of it, like the fact that, yeah, her own son died on the field while, like, again, it's just the obtuseness of his mom's behavior. But he still loves his mom. But when he kind of was, like, realizing that in that, which episode was that? I think it was the 5th episode. I think it was the fifth episode. And when you realize that, and kind of just like took off that jersey to just like it was a good scene. Like he was realizing that, yeah, maybe it's time to do what I want. Good character, such a good character. Next up, Charlie. Okay, Charlie is actually my favorite character. This guy, he is my favorite character. I think his backstory in general moved me the most. Like, particularly because, like, he was a gay kid in the 90s, and I feel like the 90s and the 2000s, early 2000s, whereas just as they were just as, even though we had so much going on in the why am I saying we, like I was in the 90s, even though there was so much like cool stuff going on in the 90s and the early 2000s, we were still not there progressively on other issues when it came to like queer issues and like sometimes race issues, sometimes issues dealing with women in general. Like we all had that, like there was like this post-feminism in the 2000s that was kind of like so damning that it led to like so many like trauma with female stars like Britney Spears and Megan Fox. Lindsay Lohan, Amanda Bynes, just to name a few. Well, Janet Jackson too. Like, just stars to name a few. So, in the 90s and the 2000s, those times were just as conservative as the 50s. I always think about this. The 90s and the 2000s were just as conservative, if not low-key more. Because we were under this false guise of like, okay, we had so, like, okay, like, we have a little bit of representation. We completed the goals, like, the main goals of, like, feminism. We have some black people on TV. We have some, like, Latinos and, like, Asians, other races on TV. We have some gay characters on TV to an extent. Small roles, obviously. Small roles. You know, like Ellen DeGeneres came out a little bit later on in the 90s. There's some progress being made, Will and Grace and all. So, but it was still very, it was still very homophobic, still very racist, still very misogynistic. So, Charlie's story as just being like a gay kid in the 90s, very typical. So much like still having to feel like he would have to like hide his relationship in general, people making fun of him. So he met Emilio, who is also like a teacher who's also a teacher at the school like years later. He met Emilio during a school camping trip and they got together. Well, they immediately hit it off and he like fell for him fast. It was very sweet, typical like 90s like romance, like typical teenage romance. And so, Emilio accidentally outed Charlie to his parents because he assumed that his parents already knew that Charlie was gay. Emilio often told Charlie that he often got the shit. He often got so much shit for being gay and never the pleasure. That was his reasoning. Charlie fell for Emilio because Emilio was also everything that Charlie felt like he wasn't, like confident and just out and just magnetic. Oh my god, words are so hard today. Magnetic. Charlie was very furious, understandably, because I'm assuming that his parents weren't very accepting. It kind of like put him in a shitty position where, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, we don't really know that much of Charlie's parents' reaction to the outing, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't really a great reaction, and that's why the events that followed happened. So, because of this, Charlie was very angry, and he wrote Emilio this very terrible, mean letter saying that he never loved Emilio, he never wanted to see him again. And later on that day, he went to lunch, drowned his feelings in some french fries, but the fries were cooked in peanut oil, and he forgot his EpiPen. So he basically just died right there and there in the cafeteria. An accidental death, completely unfair, and like very, like, also like kind of like very like unfortunate for like the events that followed after, like with people making so many jokes about it. And what made the whole event worse was when Charlie talked about watching Emilio read that letter and like feeling him like I can imagine that Emilio was so heartbroken over the fact that Charlie died, but like even more heartbroken that like Charlie wrote that letter. So it was like two pains, like it was like two stabs in the heart, and it was basically like twisting the knife, even like both knives, even further. It's very heartbreaking, but there is a silver lining to this. When Charlie told Maddie this, because Charlie has taken on this role, like he was the first person that helped Maddie, like he was like the first friend that Maddie made, so they developed this like nice little friendship, which is very cute. And when he told Maddie this, her being the very selfless person she is, enlisted Simon to help Charlie write a letter to get to Emilio. And watching Emilio read the new letter that Charlie wrote for him, and Charlie watching Emilio finally get closure for that letter, it was pretty good. Like, now they can both finally move on. Charlie can, like, live his death, as they would say, and Emilio can get back to living his life. So, bittersweet, but we have some hope for Charlie. We have some hope for Charlie. And Charlie, he is just again, him and Wally, they're such sweethearts. They're just, we just gotta, justice for everybody. Just justice for everybody, and electric chairs for the bad characters. Oh, child. Anyway. Next up, Rhonda. She was a student who was murdered. I think she's been there for 60 years, but anyway. Rhonda is also a very tragic story. She came from a very shitty family, with her mother only caring about appearances, and she felt very alone. So she developed this relationship with a guidance counselor that she knew at her school. And like a mentor-teacher relationship, because the guidance counselor, I forget his name. But anyway. He pushed Rhonda to be the best, and because he believed in her, and she got into her dream school. She went to him and showed him the letter, and all everything changed when that happened, because a fight broke out. He thought that they were like romantic, but they weren't. And when Rhonda was like, "No, that's not what was going on," and when she decided, when she went to leave the room, she never left. He strangled her, and yeah. The shitty part is, like, stuff like this actually does happen in real life, where a teacher will kind of like take advantage of students, and they would, like, when a student like realizes the situation and like won't really like comply in that situation, it gets violent. And yeah, I wondered how he thought he was going to get away with it. Obviously, she told us that he didn't get away with it. He actually went to prison, and he died in prison. But it didn't really change nothing for her, even though there was some justice to an extent. But what was done, and it left her a little bit bitter, because that really was an unfair situation where she had to, she died because she didn't do what a man said. She wasn't really returning a man's feelings. Obviously, why would she? She's like his student. She's a student, but her story was very tragic too. All these people's stories are very tragic. They all died when they weren't ready to. It was very unexpected, and it leaves a whole lot of unfinished business. Hopefully there's justice for Rhonda too. The last student is Dawn. Dawn, a very sweet girl. She died in the 70s. She died from electrocution because one day her and two other girls went to the theater projection room, and I think if I remember correctly, Dawn went into, I think, in the closet. Yes, I think it was the closet. And the two other girls, she heard these two other girls talking about this other girl who they considered very ditzy and just saying more mean things. And then she realized they were talking about her. Those girls were talking about Dawn. And Dawn was very upset that, just like the insults in general, like we never, like, it just kept getting more meaner and meaner and meaner, and Dawn was just like completely upset, and she made like a sound in the closet, and like the two other girls, she didn't want to know, like she didn't want the two other girls to know she was like she heard all that, so she quickly turned off the lights, but the lights were like kind of like sparkling, like I think it was short circuiting, I think, which was like, I don't know, but she did touch the light bulb, I think, and it shocked her, and she died. And honestly, I don't know why people are just so mean in general. Like, people in high school, like teenagers are shits, obviously. No surprise there. But the reason, like, it's just like the fact that those girls were just so mean to Dawn for like no fucking reason. Like, Dawn is like such a nice girl. It's just ashy. Ashy. Like, we have so many ashy characters, like, and Dawn is right. It really should have been them. Like, they should have like been electrocuted. It like they should. Anyway, it's just sad. It's just sad. But I think what made her get some justice in the end, when she looked back and like made some peace with what happened in her death, is what allowed her to actually cross over. Because I'm gonna get to that in a minute. I'm gonna get there in a minute. Gonna get there. Last but not least, Mr. Martin. The teacher who, like, he was a teacher, like, he's kind of like the teacher of their little, like, support group. But he was a teacher who died in the 60s from a fire he started in the school laboratory. And from the get-go, to me, I always got so much shady vibes from that man. I never trusted him one bit. I knew something was off about him. Like, the minute, I don't know, like, something about Mr. Martin, I just knew. Like, this man, he ain't to be trusted. Every time he and Maddie had a scene together, I'm like, Maddie, don't even trust that man. He's sketchy too. Everybody is sketchy right now. Because it's just ashy. Like, everyone in that show, well, not everybody, like, but like some people in that show, some of the adults were just ashy. Like, it just ashy. Just ashy. Ashy. But yeah, Mr. Martin is a very sketchy man. A very sketchy man, because it was revealed in the last episode that he's been keeping some tabs on, he's been recording other students' deaths. And also, he and that Janet girl are probably in cahoots with each other. Because, again, she swapped bodies with Maddie. She never died in the first place. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Gonna get to that in a minute. But I never trusted Mr. Martin. I don't know what happens to him in the next season, but I just never trusted him. Never did. We need to talk. We need to talk and gush and just cry a little bit over Maddie and Wally. Maddie and Wally. They were such a cute ship, and I was like low-key blushing along with Maddie in every single scene that they were together. Because on one hand, like, again, I'm just gonna go back to what I said earlier, Wally is so sweet and nice, and like, he is just so adorable. Like, he's a jock, but he's such a dork, and he's so cute. Anyway, but also, even though Maddie was going through this like whole change, like she was still adjusting to this whole afterlife thing. I liked how understanding Wally is and patient he is, and he's just simply trying to, like, even though he likes her, he's still trying to like be her friend in the moment too. And I just like that part. Like, even though like Wally likes her, he still is like he's still being her friend, because I feel like that's also what she needs too. But also, let me say this right now. Writers. It was very ashy of you guys to give us a ship that, knowing what we know now, has no future. Like, y'all, why would y'all do this to me? Like, y'all, writers, why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to us? To give us a ship that is so great and so sweet, and it just doesn't really have a future because like Maddie's not really dead, and they can't really like live happily ever after. It's just gonna have such a tragic ending. Why would y'all do this to us? Like, y'all, why would you do this to me? Really, to me? Not like now what we know now. Like it's that was actually the main. Like that was low key one of the bigger reasons why I actually wish that. Oh Lord. Again, we'll get to it momentarily. We're gonna get to it momentarily. we're gonna get to that momentarily. But like, it was just ashy of you guys to like give us a ship. You guys, like, it was to give us a ship that doesn't really have that much of a future, getting our hopes up. Someone, like, I saw a TikTok with someone saying, I think I've seen this film before, and I didn't like the ending with Julie and the Phantoms. Oh my god, this is Julie and the Phantoms too. Like this, like, yeah, it actually is Julie and the Phantoms because like I haven't finished the show yet, but like Julie and Luke in that show, she also falls in love with a ghost too. Oh Lord, Jesus, why do they do this to us? Just so ashy of you writers. Like, oh god. Okay, let me talk about the mystery. The overall mystery of the show was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was good because like Maddie did have some suspects that had some reason in mind to murder her. Not a justified reason, but they just had like a reason in their mind to murder her. And I did like how in each episode where there was a new suspect, it made them more sketchy and sketchy to kind of like fit the like to kind of like support the idea or the theory that they might have done it. And what I like the most about these types of shows is the fact that it gives us many twists and turns. It's pretty interesting. Like, it actually is interesting. It keeps me on my toes because of that, what I said earlier. And it's also kind of like more interesting because like those suspects that we saw in the show, they are very sketchy people who would do shady things to get what they want, especially Claire. Claire, I think, I'm assuming that she does have to keep up a certain image because of her parents, and she is she is probably under a lot of pressure because, again, like, I think her parents are still together, or one of her parents like remarried, I think. Yeah, I think one of her parents remarried, but she does give so many vibes of the person who would go to such great lengths to just to maintain that certain image of her. And yeah, when towards the end, when they were making it seem like Nicole had killed Maddie, I almost turned that show off because it's like if that was the direction. It seemed like such at first, like I felt like that's where they were going for a second there, because I'm like, oh my god, that is such lazy writing, because it's like we had scenes of like Nicole separately by herself trying to find Maddie herself. Why would she like murder Maddie? But there was a reason. She actually like took a video of Claire and Mr. Anderson, who another suspect who was like he was an English teacher who Maddie had like a friendship with, and earlier on, like in episode I think 3, he was suspected of like having something to do with her death. And the only thing that he was only like guilty of was like stealing money and just simply taking bribes from a student. That was the only two things he was guilty for. Sketchy, obviously, but like, he didn't really kill her. But Nicole did take that video of them, and she was planning on using that money because the reason being she never got into, well, she was submitting portfolios to art schools, and basically those art schools basically kind of like laughed in her face, saying that she would never get in. So she was kind of like in a shitty position where she wanted to be in the same area as her friends, and she just wanted them to like stay together, and she was just willing to like do whatever it took to like still like be with her friends. So if it meant taking a video and like bribing or like blackmailing a teacher to give her money, then like it would, I guess that's in her mind, like that's what made sense, because she just wanted to like, she didn't want to be separate from her friends. In the end, like I guess like in general with this whole mystery, I should have known for myself that Maddie was never murdered in the first place. Reason number one, she doesn't even remember her own death. Well, she doesn't remember. Obviously, she doesn't remember because she hit her head when Janet swapped with her body, but because that explains the blood in the boiler room. But like even though like it seemed very traumatic, the other ghosts remember their deaths, no matter how traumatic they are. They still remember exactly what happened, exactly what they were wearing and doing, and they're like during their last moments in the school. It was also the fact that the mystery always had like holes in the story and never came to a definitive conclusion of suspects. And it's just like the simple fact that like all of these suspects that we were like seeing, especially with her mom, none of those people have the guts to actually be murderers to Maddie. They were just simply shitty people, and like they're not murderers, they're just shitty people. And the ending in general, the ending in general, like even though I'm very intrigued, I'm very intrigued by that plot twist and that ending, that Maddie was never murdered in the first place and she just switched places with Janet. I'm also a little disappointed. A little bit with the reason with the ship with Maddie and Wally also, but just mostly because of like, it just would have been more interesting. It would have been more scary. Ooh, we just don't know. Like, and the fact that we haven't like seen her body, like it was like, I was like, oh my god, there's like blood in the boiler room. Like, who would do this? Like, because like there's so many like cases like actually like of like shit like this happening in real life. Because this isn't really fiction to an extent. There are murders. There are murders that occur at school. Obviously, like school shootings, obviously, but there are like instances and cases in real life that do kind of like, I don't know, there are many cases in real life that are similar to the presumed murder of Maddie. But I actually like, the reason why I felt like it would have actually been more interesting if it would have been murder was like, one, it would have given it a little bit more edge, and also I feel like what would have made it also interesting if they like got the assumed murderer, but it was revealed last minute, like in the last few seconds of the last episode, that they never murdered Maddie in the first place, and like actually the murderer, the real murderer, isn't the main cast, and they're like hiding it all along, and they're like being so good at it, but like who is it? But like it'll like focus on the next few seasons of like trying to like catch the murderer, and also like catching the murderer, and also like having Maddie make peace with her death, and like allowing her to cross over in the series finale. That would have been like a nice direction to go in. However, it is good that this happened because, again, with I guess with how Maddie is still like adjusting to death in general, and so it's kind of like having some hope that maybe this is kind of like all like this illusion, this whole like it's still like some sort of like dream, and also the fact that she really wasn't really that ready to die. And she never died in the first place. She's just in Janet's place right now. She still has, it's just not her time yet. She still has so much life to live. That's actually a good thing. And I mean, that just gives us more hope that Maddie can make it out of the afterlife and like live her life. And now she can, like, while she's still in the afterlife, she can also help her other friends cross over and deal with Mr. Martin too. Because, again, that man is sketchy. Him and Janet are in cahoots with each other. Don't trust both of them. Haven't watched season 2 yet, but like I already just don't. I don't really think Janet is going to be the good guy in season 2. I think she's kind of a villain, or a villain adjacent. Not the main villain, but she might have some like bad intentions. What is their plan? Like, what is the plan? Because also, Maddie also does have a good connection with. She does have a connection to the afterlife in general. Something must have happened to Maddie, because she could see Mr. Martin and Janet the minute she and Janet swap places. She does have a connection to the afterlife. Whether, like, I feel like it's confirmed, because, like, how she did see Mr. Martin and Janet when she started to remember the events of what happened. That is very interesting. Either way, I am very intrigued with this story. Very intrigued. I need to like watch season 2. I really need to watch season 2 because I'm very curious. However, my season 2 thoughts, I haven't seen it, but I unfortunately seen TikToks about some. I've seen like some TikToks of it, and it did kind of like spoil a little bit for me. It only spoiled 2 things for me. And it's not that bad. Number 1, Charlie gets a boyfriend. Right, cute. You love that. He really needs. He just really needs to like move forward. Not like he needed like a man to like move forward, but like you know, we all get in some romance. Everyone else gets. He just needs some action. He just needs. You know, cute. But I love that he gets a boyfriend this season. Second, a Maddie and Wally romance. Like I already like seeing so many. Like I've seen some clips of it. Again, it spoiled a little bit of it for me, but like I already knew that was gonna happen to an extent because they kissed during the prom episode, and yeah, I just love that that's gonna happen. Can't wait to watch season 2. I'm gonna try to watch season 2. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for today. That's been my little geeking out session talking about school spirits and the like whole characters and the like storylines to an extent. That's kind of all I have for today. So yeah, thank you for listening to the podcast Let's Discuss, and you can find the podcast on Spotify, anywhere you stream podcasts. You can find it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, anywhere, Pandora. You can follow the podcast on social media, Instagram and TikTok. It's at Let's Discuss Podcast _. all lowercase. And you can follow me, nick.marshall02, all lowercase, for more updates of the show, or if you just simply want to put a voice to the, like a face to the voice, if you just want to see your gracious host. Anyway. Okay. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode if you made it this far. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, week, month, year. And it's been a nice talk. Anyway, we'll talk soon. Very soon. I promise. Okay, bye.